Om Apyayantu mamangani Vākprānaschakshushrotramātho balamindriyāni ca sarvāni sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam ma brahma nirakarot Anirakaranamastvanirakaranam me astu tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha te mayi santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lord Sanat-kumāra is taking us through an amazing journey of discovery. We discover layers and layers of unbelievable resources within us and without us also, inside and outside also. It moves freely between Adhyatmika, Adi-bhautika and Adi-laukika domains. It is to the credit of the seers of the East that they saw everything as interconnected. They did not make watertight compartments of the inner and the outer. They knew that the outer depends on the inner depends on the outer, and in certain sense, the inner and outer are one also. So in essence, we divide. At the same time, we know in another sense, nothing can be divided at all. I'm saying these words as we begin this 32nd class on Chāndogya Upanishad, where in this 7th chapter and in the 11th khanda or section, we are taking up what is known as Akasha. Sorry, Akasha is not this topic. Tejaha. We are taking up what is called Tejaha. This word Tejaha is in fact a word that can have multiple meanings. Tejaha can mean fire. Of the 5 elements, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi, the third one, Agni, is Teja. In the previous chapter, that is CHৰীষ্টhe Adhyaye, in the dialogue between Uddalaka and Shvetaketu, repeatedly the expression was used, Tejo Banna, which meant Tejaha, up and Anna. Tejaha meant the fire element, up meant the water element, Anna meant the earth element. So, though really there are 5 elements, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi, the 6th chapter repeatedly took only the last 3, Agni, Jala and Prithvi, Tejaha, Apaha and Annam. And we said, clarifying the matter, that is the art of Upalakshana. By mentioning 3, the other 2 are implied. If we say Prime Minister Modi is coming to this city tomorrow, it is implied that a retinue of advisors, assistants, and of course security guards and so on will all be coming. The Prime Minister cannot come alone. So when one is explicitly said, many more are implicitly meant. That is called Upalakshana. So Tejovanna, Tejaha, Agni, Apaha, Jalam, and Annam, Prithvi imply Akasha and Vayu also. The word Tejaha, as we are going to show now in the very title slide, can mean heat. Heat, that is higher temperature. Heat, a topic of great interest in physics. Heat, light, sound, etc. are what fill the pages of basic physics. Heat is of great interest to engineers. There are voluminous books on heat transfer. How heat can be transferred, how heat is transferred from one kind of material to another kind of material. How heat travels through different media. Heat can go very fast through certain medium, which is a good conductor. And in certain other medium, the heat does not move. They are thermal insulators. Heat is thus a predominant and a very prominent form of energy in this phenomenal world. Therefore, Tejaha is fire, Tejaha is heat, and in a spiritual context, Tejaha is the inner energy, inner radiance, inner resplendence. It is a sign of one's tapas. For that matter, tap means to heat. Tap means to go for austerities whereby you conserve heat. Normally, as you earn and spend, collect food and eat, rest, and do many things in daily life, you expend heat. But in tapas, you gather heat. Therefore, sometimes it is said in our Puranic stories that when some rishi took up great tapas, place around him got heated up. And even devatas in the heavens got scared. At this rate, this rishi will heat up and burn away the entire universe. They then go to other higher gods. They go to Vishnu or Shiva, Brahma or Indra, and so on, and request them do something and break the tapas of this person. Indra sometimes is afraid that because of the heat that this rishi is collecting within himself, he will become so powerful that the present Indra has to step down and the position of the Indra would be given to this rishi who is meditating. Tejaha is thus an indicator of your inner prowess, inner strength. And if somebody lives a very sensuous life, indulging in sense pleasures, wasting away one's time, energy, and other resources, it is often said, look at her face, look at his face. It has become nisteja. The shine has vanished. The radiance has vanished. At one time, she was so bright. At one time, he was a source of light. If she or he entered a hall, it is as though the hall got illumined. But now, because this person has been living a very worldly life, look at how lacking in luster her face or his face has become. Such expressions are used. So this section 11, out of the 15 factors that are to be worshipped, that are to be adored, this chapter talks about the 11th, which is Tejaha. Tejaha is of tremendous significance, and I may not go into it, nor am I much qualified to do it, but I can drop a hint that this Tejaha is of unbelievable amount of meanings and scope, that on one hand, environmental scientists are so much engaged in examining the manifestations of Teja. They talk about global warming. They do not want the temperature to rise. Glaciers are melting. They talk about climate changes. And all this is measured in terms of heat. So on one hand, environment, which is one of our major concerns at this time of human history, has to take into account the ramifications of Teja, what forms it appears. On the other, spiritualists, you and me, who have been walking the path of spirituality, have to examine ourselves very closely. We have to examine whether the heat in us, whether the temperature in us, whether the spiritual radiance in us, whether certain subtler energy in us is getting less or getting higher. Other day, a short WhatsApp video came to me. I saved it but could not find it today to once more refer to it and share with you the thoughts, but it was interesting. I have saved it, not deleted it on my smartphone. And what that short video says is about the staff that rishis were to use, on which they would keep one of their arms. Keeping an arm on that staff, the rishi is seen meditating. So the question arises, does the rishi keep the arm, we keep the right arm on the staff or danda? I'm not talking of kamandal in which water is kept. Rishis are seen to carry a danda. A danda is, let's say, in a manner of describing, a vertical stick, but then perpendicularly there is another shorter stick with a certain curvature. And that danda they use all the time. And when they sit for meditation, one of their arms, either the right arm or the left arm, is kept on that danda. And the short video gave me a certain idea which I had never thought about. It said the rishis would balance the heat in their body, especially as expressed through the breathing movement through the right nostril and through the left nostril. If they find that there was more air going in or coming out through the right nostril, they would become aware, and then by changing the side where they would keep that staff and then accordingly rest one of their hands upon it, they would change the amount of air going in and out through the right nostril. As I said, if there was more going in and out through the right nostril, by changing the position of the danda, they will see that more would go in and out through the left nostril. And subtle self-observation, subtle self-awareness. Nip the problem in the bud, as the idiom goes. Kama, Krodha, or some other inner enemies or an unwarranted sense of loneliness, or some kind of agitation which is not called for, a wave of laziness or a wave of ambition. Any of them rises in us, the meditator, the serious, advanced spiritual seeker notices them even when they are a tiny wave, and then by doing certain exercises in the mind, in the breathing, in some posture, in many other ways, I guess, they actually handle those negativities. And thereby, you see, coming to the main topic, they actually handle the tejas within themselves. Therefore, let's go at this moment to the title slide of this class, in which Sanat-kumāra says, Tejaha, fire, is higher than apaha. The previous topic was apaha. Apaha was water. Now here we have Tejaha upasva. By Sandhi, that Visarga drops. Teja upasva. Upasva means meditate upon. Upon what? Upon fire, upon heat, upon your outer and inner radiance. If it's too much, especially in the outer domain, it can be dangerous. If it is too much inside, in some context, yes, that also can lead to some health issues. You have to keep it optimum, and it may rise when you are able to handle that higher energy. If higher energy rises in you, but you are not otherwise prepared for it, you will go berserk. You will, lose your balance. You may curse somebody, for example, like in the story of Kaushika in Mahabharata. He got certain tejas in him, but otherwise he did not have the maturity to deal with that energy. Like somebody gets very rich and doesn't know what to do with the money. Somebody gets very famous and doesn't know how to conduct himself when he is a celebrity, he is famous. So Kaushika in the Mahabharata gets angry, gets furious with a woman who delays giving diksha to him. And the lady, the householder lady, teaches him a lesson that he would not forget for his, rest of his life. So, Tejaha, Tejaha Upaswa. Since Tejaha is grammatically speaking, object of the sentence, meditate upon Tejas. It's in the second case here. Though in this case of the word Tejaha, the second and first case have no difference in their appearance. Tejaha, Tejasi, Tejansi, Tejaha, Tejasi, Tejamsi. Both are same. But for those of you who may not be very clear about this vibhakti matter, in the case of, let's say, a word like Hari, Hari, Harihi Rakshati. Hari, Lord Vishnu, protects us. There he is the subject. Who protects? Hari protects. But then, if we salute Hari, we are the Kartra, and Hari is the object of our namaskars. Harim Vandavahe. Harim Namamaha. So, to wind up this digression into grammar, I'm especially saying this because in the next slide again there is a tricky word. Harihi is Pratama Vibhakti, Harim is Dvitiya Vibhakti. When we bow down before Hari. So Tejaha here is Dvitiya Vibhakti. Deliberately we have chosen to translate Tejaha in the first slide in two ways, in two lines. Know the importance of heat. Rise through respect for, you could have said heat, but deliberately. Rise through respect for fire. No wonder one of the major religions of today, the Parsi religion, they are fire worshippers. They have temples for fire. In Sanatana Dharma, of course, Agni Karya, Agnihotra, or in another form, Surya Upasana. Surya temples apparently were there. Today we know the famous Sun temple where no worship is being done now, but the famous Sun temple in Konark, Odisha is there. Otherwise, in the Gayatri mantra, we worship Bhargaha, that's another synonym for Teja. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. We meditate upon the brilliance, the radiance, the effulgence, that is Bhargaha, and Devasya of God. And it is this radiance which prompts our thoughts. Gayatri Mantra continues to fascinate people around the world. Volumes are written on its efficacy. More and more research is pointing to the wonders that Gayatri Mantra can do if only people do Upasana. Today, even a large percentage of people to whom at the age of 8 or 10, 14 or 15, parents give Gayatri Upadesha conveniently forget it. They do not do any Upasana of Gayatri. It is said here, Tejaha Upasva, Bhargam Upasva, Agnim Upasva, Suryasya Upasanam Kuru, and so on. How our rishis integrated this kind of upasana with many other subjects in Ayurveda, in Yoga Shastra, in food, ahara, bhojana, everywhere somehow this Surya, this Agni come into the picture. As you and I know, in Yogasanas, one of the most popular postures is the postures of Surya Namaskaras, spreading far and wide through the world. I believe in some Gulf countries now, in schools, Surya Namaskars are being learned. And they have recognized that this doesn't have to be about any particular religion. It's about the sun who belongs to all. It's about energy that everybody requires. Know the importance of heat. Rise through respect for fire. We now go to the second slide, where in simple terms, the Upanishad, Chāndogya Upanishad of Samvāda, tells us that this fire, in its various forms, in the numerous ramifications that this mystery expresses itself, is indeed superior to water. Tejaha Adbyaha Bhūyaha. Adbyaha is the fifth case of Ap Shabda, the Pratama Vibhakti being Apa. It is always in plural. Very interesting. Last time we made a remark. The table of Vibhaktis or cases has no entry in the first column and in the second column. In all the words you have Rama Ramo Rama, Ramam Ramo Raman, Ramena Ramabhyam Ramai, and so on. But in the case of the table of cases, first case, second case, all the way till the seventh, and then the vocative case, you have about apaha, nil, nil, apaha, nil, nil, apaha, nil, nil, adbihi, nil, nil, adbyaha, nil, nil, adbyaha, nil, nil, apam, nil, nil, apsu, and I don't know what the vocative is. Apaha is plural. Adbhyaha is compared with water in simple Sanskrit, Jalat, Udakat, Tejaha, Bhuyaha, fire or heat or its radiance, its effulgence. And Shankaracharya promptly says, Up Karanatvat. Up means water, because the crude Mula Shabda of Apaha is up. Up becomes Apaha. Up Karanatvat. Now Adi Shankara need not explain. Our own Upanishad mantra says, Tadvaye Tadvayu Magruhya, referring to the very well-known phenomenon of the temperature rising or falling in the atmosphere everywhere, and then as a consequence of those variations, at certain point you have rain coming down. It is fire principle, it's the heat that as though holds the wind. Vayum agrihya, avashtabhya, says Adi Shankara. Akasham abhitapati. When everything gets heated, the movement of the air also at times is arrested. Not much of movement. And then the whole atmosphere. Akasham abhitapati. The heat factor increases, and here, though Akash is not the subtle space that is implied, again it is Vayu. The air gets heated. And then Tad Ahu. Then they say, people, especially elderly people, look at the air, look at the atmosphere, feel the atmosphere and say, look how warm it has become. And when it gets unusually warm, that's many times the forerunner of rains. It gets very warm and it rains because nature has its own ways of balancing. When it gets hot, it ensures that it cools down through a bout of rains. Nitapati, Nishochati, Nitapati, both of them imply getting heated, getting warmer. Varshishyati. People say, no, wait, just in a few minutes it's going to rain. And it rains. Tejaha eva tat purvam darshayitva. So first the people feel heat. So Tejaha, heat, darshayitva, having expressed itself, having shown itself, atha, a bit later, apaha srijate. Why not apaha srijate? A little grammar. Apaha won't fit in here because Tejaha is the Kartrapada. Fire creates water. Fire causes rain. So Apaha goes into second case, Vibhakti. Therefore it is Apaha. Atha Apaha srijate. Tadetad urdvabhishta tiraschibhishta vidyudbhihi. Lightnings are seen in the sky. Some lightnings are going from below to above. They are called urdvaha vidyudaha. And some are going left to right or right to left. Horizontally they are moving. They are tiraschyaha vidyutaha. And as they move, the clouds also move. This ahrada, the clouds are moving as light. This is a somewhat poetic description of the scenario before rains begin. Very many times there is lightning, there is thunder. Tasmadahuhu vidyotate. Look at the sky. Vidyotate means it shines. Dyut, duty is shine. Stanayati, Stanayana or Stanana is thundering. So there is thunder. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad had said, Datta, Damyata, Dayadhvam. Prajapati gives a single instruction, single syllable instruction to the Manushyas as Datta, to Devatas as Damyata, to Asuras as Dayadhvam. And he just says, the. And even as the human beings, the gods, and the demons understand that precious advice, the sky has thunder, and the thunder also speaks the language of the Prajapati, and so on. And that portion in the fifth chapter of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad inspired the Nobel Prize winner in literature T.S. Eliot to bring out his own translation, his own version of that whole story. Thus spake the thunder. There also you get that word stanayitnuhu. Here stanayati. There is thunder and then there is rain. How interesting. And let me tell you, this outer description can have a parallel inner description in your sadhana. If you meditate regularly, if you sit and inquire regularly, if you, rather than yielding to many impulses in you to go for some sense indulgence or to some activity which is selfish, which is towards earning more wealth or getting famous, etc. Instead of self-centered activity, if you say, well, I have done all that enough now, I will meditate. And your mind say, on what will you meditate? Not a good idea. Leave it, etc. You say, yeah, I'm not having any clear idea what I'll meditate on now, but I don't need an idea to meditate. For next 50 minutes or 40 minutes or 20 minutes, I will meditate. On what? I don't ask that question. I'll sit quietly. To sit quietly and remain watchful. Let thoughts of any kind come. Let ideas, emotions. Fear seems to be rising my bosom. I welcome it. Come, fear, come, arise. Desire arises. Boredom arises. A sense of utter meaninglessness about life arises. You say, welcome, swagatam, swagatam, and sit for 20 minutes quietly. On your part, you are not initiating anything. This anger, this desire, this boredom, this loneliness, this insecurity, this revenge, whatever it is, that came on its own from somewhere, from memories, from some influences. We say, God bless them. But I neither will hug them nor will suppress them. If you are able to do that without going to sleep, you remain alert and stay watchful, then, like it is described in this mantra, wise people who look at you sitting quietly, maybe in a very meditative posture with spine kept erect and so on, maybe on a chair, doesn't matter, but it's different. It's not that you are sitting in some relaxed way with this angle, neck at some angle, that what you do sometimes while watching television and so on. No, you are sitting erect. Though you are very old, though you don't have much energy, any child also would know that grandpa is in some different mood. Grandpa is doing something extraordinary because the meditative posture stands apart from so many other ways of sitting. And if some wise people were to look at you, they will say, Tadabuhu nishochati nitapati varshishyati. What do you mean? Will it rain then if you meditate? Yes, take it in a different but parallel sense. There is going to be a gathering of energy, which otherwise was getting dissipated. And what is rain here? As Yoga Sutras have that expression, Dharma Mega. Inside you, certain clouds of virtuosity, of piety start raining. They bring rains down. What does it mean? The same you who a few minutes ago was feeling so wretched, so left out, etc., now find beautiful, loving thoughts coming in, beautiful ideas of giving, of sharing, of forgiving, of forgetting, of letting go of your worries. That is the spiritual rain inside you. And even as some weak negative thoughts keep right or try to rise, the virtue that has been awakened in you as though gives out a thunderous shout, and those negative values just flee. They as though leave from the windows. Stanayati varshishyati eja eva tat purvam darshayitva. So, in Adi Laukik, Adi Daivika way or Adi Bhautika way, that is two external forms, or Adhyatmika way. Adhyatmika basically means internal. Inside you, first there was a gathering of energy. Purvam tejaha swataha swayam darshayitva atha apaha srajate. You will find things happening. Therefore, there have been some masters like Swami Nityananda of Ganesh Puri and many other great saints who, on certain occasions, in certain contexts, you must know it is in some context, said to everybody, said to the devotees, why do you read books? Why do you do anything else? Just to meditate. Through meditation, you will get everything. I warn you, though those statements are inspiring, practically on the ground, a lot of us are not ready to, or we don't have the skill, we don't have, the capacity to gather the energy. You ask a little child to lift a heavy stone and take it from here to another place. The child, 6-year-old boy, may lift that stone with great difficulty, but after 2 steps, the stone will drop from his hands. Ours is the case like that. But there the masters are not wrong. Definitely not wrong. When they say meditate and that alone is enough, what they mean is, if you are unable to meditate, quickly do some preliminary sadhanas, and it's called capacity building, right? In certain other contexts, you have something called capacity building. In our country, some years ago, many years ago, they even constituted a certain corporation at the national level, NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, in the material context, because the government of maybe Manmohan Singh or even before that somebody. And now it is gathering more momentum. The central government in India felt that Indians do so well when they go abroad because they get the theory and some basic skills here, and over there in the more encouraging atmosphere in the foreign countries, these Indians develop, they hone their skills and their capacity builds. But in India, unfortunately, somehow they are stuck at some place. So National Skill Development Corporation and Prime Minister Modi nowadays is seen to emphasize in many of his talks skilling. We need skilling. First time I heard that in a short clip I saw, I thought this Modi may not have proper English. Then I found that he was very right. Skill is made into a verb also. Skilling means you teach somebody some skills. So though he speaks limited English, it is right. He speaks correct English. Skilling. Nehru and others were endowed or gifted with very flowery English, very wonderful English. But for a prime minister, that's not important. For prime ministers, for statesmen, if they have good English, well, it's a charm, it's something beautiful, but they actually need various leadership qualities and right decisions and right implementation of decisions and a whole lot of other skills. So, coming back, you meditate. And if you are unable to meditate, identify what needs to be done so that you get that capacity. Capacity building, skilling, skill building. Therefore, build your own inner strength. Significant verses or significant phrases have come here. We can take a quick look at the English translation by Swami Gambhirananda. Let's see. In the next slide, we have Swami Gambhirananda choosing the word fire. Call it fire, call it heat, call it energy, call it some kind of radiance as per the context. Fire is indeed greater than water. That indeed, which is such, heats up the intermediate space by taking up air as its support. Then people say, look, it's heating up. It's burning. It will surely rain. It's verily that fire which, having revealed itself earlier, Purvam Darshayitva, creates water, Apaha Srajati, or Srajate, in the form of roars of thunder. That fire which is such travels along with lightning flashes that shoot upward or zigzag. Urdhva bihi vidyudbihi and tiryag bihi or tiryachi bihi. Gadbihi, it was said zigzag is left, right, horizontal. Therefore they say lightning is flashing. It is roaring. It will surely rain. It's verily fire which, having first revealed itself, creates water. Meditate on fire. So discover yet another level, another layer of your hidden potential. You are never useless. You are never wretched. You are never a loser. It may seem so for a little while. And if only you tap from within, from inside you, as CHৰীষ্টN Upanishad had declared, Atmana Vindate Vidyam. All strength comes from inside. No matter how down you seem to have gone, it may seem like that. But you actually, from the highest Vedanta point of view, you have never fallen, you cannot fall. But all right, from a certain perspective, looking at the personality, looking at the amount of how much you can express, it may seem very low. You may look like a yoga brashta. You may look like a fallen guy, fallen lady. Don't worry. Like these upasanas, 15 upasanas have been given by Sanat-kumāra. We are at the 11th. You can rise again. In the last slide now, Falashruti. Like so many stotras, so many hymns, so many stutis, so many bhajans, so many rituals. in order to encourage, motivate more and more people to take that up, they say, if you do this once a day, such and such are the benefits. If you do this twice a day, such and such are your benefits. You recite Lingashtakam Tat Pranamami Sada Shiva Lingam. At the end, Lingashtakam Idam Punyam Yapate Shiva Sannidam Shiva Lokam Avapnoti Shivena Sahamodate. That is Falashruti. So here too, in every section we have Sayaha, that person, whoever, lady or man, Tejaha Brahma iti upaste. That person adores tapas, adores heat, adores fire, adores inner energies, and protects them very carefully. And while doing so, if you ask, why do you adore Tejaha so much? He says, what are you talking? For me, Tejaha is Brahma. I don't care about the Sachidananda, Brahma, Nirakara, Nirvikara, and so many, That, for me, Brahma is nothing else than this healthy energy in me, healthy energy in the surroundings. Therefore, in a way, if you have a friend who is in serving the cause of environment, you are an environmentalist, you may compliment that lady. Wow, you are an environmentalist. According to Chāndogya Upanishad, you are a Teja Upasaki. You are doing Upasana of Teja. Because environmentalists, those who are behind it, are bent upon protecting the environment. Tejaha Brahma. This energy, this heat, this fire, this right temperature, this environmental condition, which is healthy for all living beings, is divine. That is to be given top priority, they say. A certain physician in San Francisco Bay Area who retired from his practice of what was his field, uh, pathology, right? I was thinking, because he was always with us in Vedanta classes on Sundays, I thought he would headlong get into Vedanta. But a couple of months ago, he wrote to me, Swami, I have retired from my medical practice now, and I am totally into the cause of environment. Rather than I pulling him into Vedanta, he tried, rightly so, tried to pull me into environment. He actually made a request. Swamiji, I have a request to you. In your newsletter, Aupa, please open a column which month after month talks about the need to protect our environment. And we did one or two issues, if you see, in recent times. I even featured him, put his picture, his name, and so on. So that is also one dimension, one aspect, one facet of Teja Upasana. Then who does that? Whoever does it, they become Tejasvi. They become bright, brilliant. And as their inner spiritual power rises, they reach larger and larger domains filled with light. Tejasvataha Lokan. Both these words are in second case plural. Lokan everybody recognizes. Tejasvataha is the adjective. Worlds or domains or fields filled with light. How wonderful. Tejaswan, Tejasvantav, Tejasvantaha, Tejasvantav, Tejasvantav, Tejasvata. Like that it goes. Bhasvataha, filled with bhaha. So much of illumination. Apahata tamaskan. There was a time when outwardly or inwardly we had so much tamas in us, laziness, being unable to decide, or having decided being unable to do it. tamas comes into us in various ways. But if we do teja upasana, we become apahata tamaskaha. We become those from whom all inertia, all insensitivity, all wrong understanding, etc., apahata, are gone, abhisidhyat. And therefore, yavat tejas avagadam, tejas has unbelievable domain, unbelievable scope. Just do it and see. Acquire. Acquire certain spiritual energy. Other day I heard a wonderful spiritual teacher saying, that's what attracts us to those little video clips. Many times I decide, I don't want to watch any videos on this WhatsApp, all my time is going. But then one video pops up saying, do this for 5 minutes and you will change dramatically. I was curious, oh, what is this man saying? And I opened the video. Do this for 5 minutes. And true enough, and I agree with that man in spirit, at least in principle, he says, for 5 minutes, become conscious and don't do anything mechanically. Do things consciously. Went to the kitchen, let us say, want to eat a fruit, no problem. But become conscious. Ah, am I hungry? And then you see, yeah, I am a little hungry. Then permit yourself eating that fruit. Eat that fruit with full awareness. Not like mechanically, while you are doing some serious work, you remember, oh, there is a ripe fruit there. Though I am not hungry, let me go. So you want to escape from work. Those are all half sleepy way of living. And even very educated people in this world live their life in a rather half sleepy manner. Somehow they get going, they don't get caught all the time. But this spiritual teacher said, for 5 minutes, learn to live consciously with awareness. Double checking, is it what I want to do? And if your conscience says, no, this, I don't know why I came here. I should have continued the work I was doing in my study room. Why did I first of all end up in the kitchen? Let me go back. Then do go back. Even if you have picked the fruit, picked it up, drop it back on the plate, and gently, lovingly say to that, say to that fruit, hi, I'll come back later, okay? And go back. So this is my elaboration. But that speaker had just this to say. If you practice 5 minutes of conscious living, it will leave behind in you a certain sense of direction, a sense of presence. And he actually says, your face will shine next day. All right. Yatha kamacharo bhavati. So as you inwardly rise, letting go of stupidities, letting go of mechanical ways of behavior, then yatha kama means as much as you want. Kama means desire. Yatha means as much. Yeah, as much as you want, charaha, you can move about. Sky is the limit, as they say. Therefore, Sanat-kumāra pauses there, and in inverted commas we have put here. Nārada says, this is fascinating. But is there something even above tejaha? Tejasaha bhūyaha kimapi asti va? Asti bhagavaha tejaso bhūyaha iti. And Sanat-kumāra says, tejaso va bhūyaha asti, there is. Nārada wants to know it without any delay. Tanme Bhagavan Bravitu iti. Thus, the 11th section concludes, and we will lead to the next one, Akasha. Interestingly, Vayu is not explicitly mentioned. I made a reference to it. Annam was Prithvi, Apaha was Jala. Today we had Tejaha. Then Vayu should have been mentioned, but then they go to Akasha. But today we saw in this class, Vayu was covered, how this Tejaha holds the Vayu, and Vayu becomes a part of the whole process in which then rains come, air getting heated and so on. So that's not a big issue. We will see in the 33rd class next Friday the glory, importance of Akash. Om Namah Shivaya.